so just real briefly, before we catch you loose today, I want to just give you a couple updates on DraftSight, just to answer any questions that you guys may have, if you've heard about that, and then just to remind you of some of the training and service offerings that we might be able to help you out with. So my name is Scott High, I'm the Technical Services Manager for 3 Divisions. So if you guys have any questions afterwards, I have my contact information on the last slide. I'll leave that with you. I'll be around today if you guys have any questions. So please come up and speak to me. But what I want to do is just talk just a little bit about DraftSight. How many have downloaded the DraftSight at all? All right, so more than half of you looks like. So you might be asking why consider DraftSight. We've had a 2D tool, 2D editor, used to be DW editor, if you remember those days, inside of the SolidWorks suite. So why would you consider DraftSight? Well, the first reason and why we're having this presentation today is to make sure that you're aware that the 2D editor is being retired. It won't be available, it won't be on the 2012 media, and it won't be available under the 2012 downloads. All right, so the 2011 release is the last release of the 2D editor. So new license files and so forth won't go, that tool. It's not going to die or kill off if you have a standalone 2011 version, but you're not going to have any updates and so forth. So DraftSight is the 2D solution offered by SolidWorks and Dassault. All right, so that's the move forward strategy for 2D. So why is this a good thing? It may not sound like a good thing when you first hear that, but so far customers have liked DraftSight much better. I've been around for 10 years and not yet has somebody called me and told me how enthusiastic and excited they were about 2D editor or anything of that nature. So DraftSight, I have heard that, and so I've heard people kind of being excited about what they're doing and the direction they're going with it. So DraftSight development is being controlled by SolidWorks. Aaron Kelly, who led SolidWorks during the first few years of development, is a developer that's kind of leading the charge for DraftSight. So I feel confident in that. I know Aaron personally. You guys in the back from SolidWorks do as well, and so we have some sort of control over that, and they put that into the SolidWorks umbrella, which is good for SolidWorks users. And then they're going to have integrations. So they've got the EPDM integration that's come out in the most recent service pack that Jeff was talking about. And there's also a better support channel. All right, so support means a couple different things. The way that they support it and the way they control the product is going to be better. And then if you need it, you can get the premier version or the premium version that actually allows you to call people that use DraftSight, use 2D on a regular basis. So just some key things that I wanted you to know. I wanted to kind of give you guys an opportunity to ask some questions. But DraftSight is free for single user licenses. It does require your email to print and trade. All right, but for any single use license you want, you can go download it from DraftSight.com. The support is via the community forums. All right, so if you want support for the free version, you can go out to DraftSight.com. Just log in with what Dassault calls a swim account, and once you get that account, you can access multiple Dassault sites, and so that will give you access to the forums. Once you're out there, there's a tab called iQuestions. That's where the best place to start. So if you've not been out there and have questions about it, that's a great place to go. There's also some learning videos and so forth out at DraftSight.com. The other thing you note is there is a premium license, and so if you wanted to, you could purchase this, and so you may ask, what does that do for me? All right, so the first thing, it offers support through Dassault's DraftSight channel. All right, so they have guys that do support on this product, and those products, and that's what they do. They're assigned to do that and know that product. So they may or may not know SolidWorks well, I'm not sure, but they know this product. All right, so if you've called us in the past for 2D editor, we probably maybe had to learn as we go because we get a lot of calls on it, so we had to deal with it on a regular basis. Now we have a channel dedicated to supporting that. So that's a good thing if you need that. It includes network licensing. So if you have quite a few users and you want a network, it's included with the premium version, all right? It also includes access to the API. So Jeff tells me you can do some Lisp routines as well as VB.NET and so forth. So if you want to customize it, automate it, you would need a premium license. It's $250 per user per year, and you have to start out with a minimum of 5 when you make your first purchase. So that's what's available and the pieces that are included in that. And just so you know, we can offer training on that. We had SolidWorks come in, sort of train us and help us to learn the product, as well as one of our customers that's in here. And so we can offer that now, so that'd be something we can help you with, and let us know about that. Keep in mind, it is sort of an AutoCAD style product. I mean, if you know a lot of AutoCAD commands, you can jump into it. It'll feel pretty familiar. It's got some gestures and some cool things like SolidWorks does, but if somebody's from AutoCAD, they're probably going to feel pretty good. We moved a customer that we're using Ideas 2D and help them in DraftSight, and that's sort of an appropriate time to maybe look at training if you're moving from something that's not AutoCAD style. All right, so any questions on DraftSight while I'm here? Or we got the SolidWorks guys out the door there for me to go grab them. Any questions?
Is there a free version for this or network?
There's not a free version. The free version is not network, so it's single activation by the email per machine. Okay. Other questions? All right, so if you haven't downloaded it, I encourage you to do that. If you need to open DWG files, edit DWG files, and so forth, customers have been liking that so far. So just quickly, just to remind you of the different SolidWorks classes that we have. We have a 4-day essentials class, and so this would be for a user that you're bringing on board, maybe hasn't had any formal SolidWorks training, or somebody that's kind of just used it for a couple of years and never had a little bit of formal foundation set up by training. And so we cover all the basics of sketching relationships, all the different features, basic features for modeling and creating different geometries, and touch on assemblies and putting stuff together, as well as simple drawings and different views and dimensions in the drawing. So then from there, and really everybody should have that. I mean, when I came from the industry and I taught the class for the first time, I obviously went through the manual and detailed vehicle training. I learned all sorts of things, and I've been using SolidWorks for 3 years. And so you can learn something from that if you've never been through a formal class. No matter what industry you're in, these next 3 classes I think are good for anybody. Anybody that puts any sort of assemblies together, you can learn all sorts of things from the assembly class. So it gets into the stuff that Josh was talking about large assembly design, those sort of things, how to use lightweight and so forth, as well as how to change the hierarchy, tweaking bill of materials for assemblies and so forth. So it focuses just on assembly things. Then we have a drawings class. It gets into all sorts of different drawing things, how to get the annotations and how to get the cut views that you want. And so that's a 1-day class. And then advanced parts for creating solid sweeps, solid lofts, complex designs. And that can be if somebody's doing industrial design type stuff or conceptual stuff, or if you're doing tooling, right? You get some complex tooling, it's starting to get a little bit tricky. This class can help you out. And it's focused on solids. From there, if you have an industry that does a lot of sheet metal or weldment, you have a class for that. So I saw the hands raised earlier. A lot of you are using weldment. So Cincinnati is more progressive than our other territories, because that was always about 25%. But I saw at least 50% of you guys that are doing weldments were doing it into weldment stuff, not doing it as assemblies. So I was glad to see that. So if you have any questions on sheet metal or weldment, that class can help out. And then we have an advanced servicing class, and this can help if you're an industrial designer, doing conceptual stuff, or you just want more control over complex geometry, or if you're doing a lot of complex tooling, mold design. The surface class is a great class to learn how to use surfaces to help you create geometry. And the end result is going to be a solid for most of the things you would use, but this gives you all the tricks of working hybrid inside of solids and surfaces both together, and how to access those surfaces and make them work for you. We also do have a routing class, and we've structured our class two ways, and we've done this for a couple of years. And SolidWorks has followed suit and actually split the routing manual into 2. We were training it as 2 classes anyways. But we have a 1-day piping class for pipes and routes, and then we have an electric class, which is a day and a half. We're doing electrical wire harnessing and so forth. So we can do all those and offer all those in Cincinnati. I do want to remind you that there's a Solid Professor. How many have Solid Professor? Does anybody interested that their company is investing in Solid Professor? A Solid Professor is something that sort of augments training. All right, so if your users come to training once in a while, but you want something back on site where they can tap into and just go look up specific functionality and watch a 5-minute video on just that specific functionality, that's the tool that Solid Professor is. And they've got an enterprise version that we've had quite a few customers start to look at that allows us to be available for multiple users across the company. And they can search and look up specific topics and get a little quick reminder of how to use that. So it might be something to consider. As far as simulation classes, Vic actually lives right here in Cincinnati, and so he has a team of a couple other guys and himself to teach the classes. And so we can teach simulation professional, thermal studies, frequency studies, Mach studies, that's all covered in professional. And the premium class, we get into nonlinear and dynamics, Vic teaches those classes. And so we do all those here in Cincinnati, as well as flow and motion classes. So if you have the flow product, it's a 2-day class to come to that, 2-day motion class. For those of you that have SolidWorks Premium, most of the time we found that people bought SolidWorks Premium for the FEA. They don't realize that they get the motion tool too. If you have a kinematic tool right down there, when you go to get the animator bar up at the bottom of SolidWorks, if you've got Premium on, you've got basic motion, simulation, you've got the ones for the simulation motion. If you turn that on, you may have a kinematic study that you can get engineering data out of your animations, not just visuals. And so I would challenge you, if you have that tool, to see if there'd be a place where you can use that, because you've got a pretty powerful tool. 2-day class if you want to come learn how to use that. And then we offer composer classes. So I've got 5 guys that can train composer on our team, and so we can definitely help you with that if that's something you're interested in. And as I mentioned, DraftSight. So last slide or two, just to remind you of some of the service offerings that we can help you with. If you'd like to have Josh or myself, somebody come in and help you out, just let Barry know about that. We have our EPU implementation and configuration. Jeff goes in and does that on a regular basis. Or customization. I find that sometimes after somebody's been using Enterprise for a year, they've done some tweaks, but they find out that maybe want to move over also things to change the way things are working. Maybe we can come back in and do that. We've had a couple customers recently have sort of bought out other companies and need to deal with that data. How do I get this data from this company into my enterprise, into my work group? We can do that. Jeff and some of the team has a lot of API experience, and we can help automate some of that. There's a lot of data that you've got to get in. You've got to move properties around. We can handle that stuff internally and help you as well. So on the SolidWorks side, some of the things that customers will help us do. One thing that I've seen since 2008, 2009 in the economy sort of downturn is that engineers are asked to do a lot more. Sometimes there was cutbacks, there's still a lot of work to do. Now the work's ramping up, the people are still a little nervous about hiring, so I know you guys are pretty overloaded. So if you want to move to 2012, or have to move to 2011, or whatever it is, we can do that. We can knock that out of the day. It might be worth investing in having us come and sort of do that for you if you're having trouble rolling it out, or you just can't get off the projects to do that, because I know a lot of you guys are being shipped CAD admins, so we can certainly help with that. Very upgrade, 17 templates or so forth. So I don't want to keep you any longer, but I'll just see if there's any questions, and if you guys want to just jot down my contact information and the technical support team. If you're calling and you have any feedback, positive, or something that we can do better, I would love to hear from you guys, and I'll be around afterwards if you want to